Hey friends, hope you're doing fine. Today I'd like to dive deeper into variables with you and discuss one major flaw. So one of the biggest issues I see very often when people work with variables in Power BI and DAX. So let's explore that and let's figure out the problem. So I simply use one of my tables here. Let's say I'm using my category table. I got a unique list of my categories, and then let me just go into the value section, increase the size so you can see that better on your screens. Let's say 15. Now I'm interested in the percentage numbers of my specific metric. Let's say my total sales. Then I could say, okay, I will go inside my measures table. There I already created various total sales measures. And one of them, for instance, is my total sales. So let's search for that because I can't see it directly. So total sales, and here it is. So I can select the value. Currently it's formatted as a KPI, but that doesn't matter here. I simply select it and I can see here the numbers. And I can see exactly what are the total sales for each of the categories. So far so good. Now my superior, my boss, approaches me and says, hey, wait a minute, Daniel, I need to see this as a percentage number. Say, all right, I can do that for you. So then I could say I create a measure for that. Why not? And then I can right click on a measure, new measure, and I go to my measures table. And here and there I create the measure. And let me zoom in. And now let's do that using variables. Let's see where exactly the issue happens. So let's say I say this is my percentage sales is equal to, and then I go to new line. And now I define my variable. Let's say my variable here is first my total sales. And because it's a variable, I personally like to have an underscore at the beginning, something like that. You don't have to do it, it's just personal syntax for me. Is equal to, and I will say this is my total sales measure, right? Total sales here. Let me just zoom out because I have so many measures in here, but it's actually this one here. Select it, okay, we're good to go. So that's my total sales, so far so good. And now I say, evaluate that, so far so good, but let me go to new line, shift enter. And now let's say here, I now return something, and I will say I want to return. And because I need to actually divide, let's do it differently. Let's store here as a variable, here. So the following. Let's say now we return something, let's say return. And now I say I want to divide, so go to shift and space here, let's say divide. And then I'm going to my variable, let's say underscore total sales, this one here. And then I want to divide it by, in this case, all total sales. So in order to use the complete total sales number, I need to remove the filter context from my table or my bar chart or whatever kind of visual I have. So I can say here, okay, calculate, right? Calculate allows us to change the filter context. And I could say, I want to calculate my total sales. Let's say in this case, my total sales here. And here I specify all. And here then I'm using, could also use all select, by the way. I'm using here the category because that's what I have in my view, like that. I can close this here, and maybe I can also go to a new line here if I want to do that, do some kind of formatting here. And that's basically it. And divide, I'm just using this as a safe division, so I ignore or handle division by zero errors. So that's my calculation here. And what I do now is I press enter. Let's just see whether this evaluates correctly. And I can see I don't get any issues here. So far, so good. Now, let me just visualize that now. So we know it's a percentage number. So we can then select this, get rid of that. And our calculation is, in this case, our percent sales. Here it is. So let's format this as a percentage number first. And then let's put this also in our visual in here. So let me select it, click on it, and I can see I get 100% everywhere. And now the question arises, why does that happen? So where is actually the mistake here? So let's figure that out. Let me take this again and let's explore this and see exactly what we do. So we use variables, which is a good best practice in Power BI, so no question about that. However, the issue is that variables are in a certain way constant, meaning if we save the variable in here regarding the total sales from the total sales from measures table, that means that the total sales here stored in this variable is kind of locked. So in this case, here it is saved. Meaning, when we save it here, then for each, let me just go in here, for each row, in this case, in this table, the stored variable is the total sales amount for each category. And this means if we store it in here and then try, actually here using the calculate function to modify it, this will not work. And that's what I meant when I say that variables, even if they are called variables, they're actually kind of static. Meaning, if we define the variable here and store a value, we cannot modify the variable with the calculate function anymore because it's stored, it's constant in here. So in order to get the correct result, we would have actually to calculate this total figure here up front and then use it. So as an example, I could say I copy all of this. So like that, Control C to copy this. Let me just go here. So that's Control C to copy it. And then let's define a second variable. Let's say var all sales is equal to, and then I paste this inside. So like that, and then parenthesis is missing for us here. Okay. And then let's just see, we remove now this one here and this one as well. And instead, as a second argument here for the divide, we use underscore all total sales, or all sales, sorry, what we defined here, this one. Now we can actually close the parenthesis here and remove this one here. We don't need it for the formatting. And of course, one thing we need to modify here as well is that we can't store this one because this is fixed, right? So we want to remove it here as well and refer to our total sales in here. Total sales, not this variable, actually the measure. So let's actually copy this from here and paste it in here. Paste it, and we are good to go. And now let's evaluate that. Press enter, and let's just see. And now we can see the correct results as the percentage numbers in here regarding our percentage values here for each category. So remember this specific issue here regarding, if you can call it an issue, regarding the variables index. Variables, even though the name implies they are variable, it's true you can store anything you want inside, but as soon as you stored something inside, the variable is locked. So it's kind of constant, and you can't modify it then later on using the calculate function. So that is why you can, when you use the calculate function, use the original measures. You can store this in a variable, and then you can work with this variable, as we've done here, but you cannot create a variable first and then try to alter or modify the variable using calculate. Okay? So that's it for this specific issue and regarding variables. So they are quite powerful, and I encourage you to use them, but be aware of this specific issue here, okay? So that's it for this. I just wanted to discuss with you because this is something I see very often. And then, of course, a lot of students and people ask, okay, why doesn't that work? What's the issue here? And now you know this, and in the future, you will not make this mistake, okay? So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If so, please consider subscribing, and otherwise, stay safe and hopefully see you in the next video. Until then, best guys.